What's it like to be cruising right now? Is cruising back to normal? What's going on with masks, testing, vaccinations, and what's changed? We're going to talk all about it in this episode. Well, ahoy there, cruisers!
Welcome to this episode with us, Cruise with Ben and David. We thought we'd sit down and have a little chat with you.
Yes, we've done 13 cruises since the pandemic started, so we've got lots of experience. Lots of things have changed over the last few years and the few months, and we're going to be answering that big question: is it a good time to cruise right now? And giving you our honest opinion of exactly what it's like. First up, let's talk about the CDC. They caused so much chaos over the last few years with their confusing messaging, their silly no-sale orders when the rest of the world were getting back on with it. The good news, first of all, is that those no-sale orders have all gone now, and most importantly, they're not advising people to stay away from cruising. So that's a really good thing. It's more in line with the rest of travel now, things like airlines and theme parks. So finally, we've got to where we wanted to be.
So let's talk about vaccinations. We get lots and lots of questions about these. Essentially, most cruise lines require passengers now to be fully vaccinated to travel. At the moment, they class a full vaccination as having the first 2 doses of a vaccination.
Or the 1 dose of the Johnson vaccine as well. Some cruise lines are starting to require boosters as well, or travelling within 270 days of your last course of vaccination. So do keep an eye on that. More and more cruise lines are introducing that rule, so it's really important to read all of the regulations of your cruise line before. For kids who can't be vaccinated, there are different ways around this with most cruise lines. They're requiring sort of a PCR test or an antigen test in the running up to your cruise.
It does vary though between cruise lines and cruise brands, and it varies depending on where you're sailing from, so do double check what your vaccination requirements are. Also, most cruise lines will require you to prove the vaccination either by using your vaccination card, or if you have any sort of other document, like in the UK, we have the NHS app. You just need to show that either when you're checking into your cruise online, they may ask to have the documents uploaded, or at the actual cruise terminal.
Now we must talk about masks. Thank God, most, if not all, cruise lines now have done away with masks, which is amazing. That's something that was holding back a lot of our subscribers, you guys, from cruising, and we completely agree with that. It is hard wearing a mask on board, even if you only have to do it when moving around. But that mostly now seems to be gone. Unfortunately, the crew are still wearing masks. It must be super uncomfortable for them, but hey, it is keeping them safer. But honestly, we can't tell you enough how much cruising has improved since mask wearing has gone. It's lovely, isn't it?
It is really, really lovely. And hopefully the crew will be maskless soon. As the time goes on, things get more and more back to normal. Hopefully the crew gets to remove their masks, because it must be so hard for them working with the masks on. And it's not just crews as well. It's lovely that flights are starting to remove masks as well. So if you have to fly to your cruise port, it's a much nicer experience, especially for us. We have to fly transatlantic, so it's nice not to have a mask on your face for 12 to 13 hours a day.
Yeah, nobody wants a face bra on, do they? And because everybody is mostly vaccinated on cruise ships now, it's the safest form of travel, in our opinion, because no other form of transport, airlines, don't require vaccines or anything like that. So it's super, super safe, and we feel safer than ever. Thank you so much to Babbel for sponsoring this video. Summertime is coming and vacation season is fastly approaching. Now is the perfect time to learn a new language for your upcoming trip or cruise. We're heading to Spain later this year, so we've started to brush up on our Spanish speaking skills. We've noticed that since we started using the local language in the different places that we go, like bars and restaurants and things like that, we're given a much warmer welcome. Not only do you feel and sound smarter, but it's really respectful, and the local people really do appreciate it. And there's loads of different languages to pick from, not just Spanish. There's German, French, Portuguese, Dutch. Babbel has you covered. And Babbel's award-winning technology is scientifically proven to have you speaking a new language in just 3 weeks. And it's created by real language teachers, so there's no AI or bots. And if you click the link in the description section below, you can get a massive 65% off a subscription. And what's best, if you don't like it, there's a 20-day money-back guarantee. Adios, mi amigos. España, aquí voy. And that brings us on to the next point. Lots of the things that happened during COVID have stuck with cruise lines. So cruise ships are safer and cleaner than ever. So they're still going on with the extra cleaning on board and being very thorough with things. The medical centres are much better now. They're much better equipped to deal with lots of different things, not just COVID. So that's really fantastic as well. So the regulations are super high, and the cruise lines have spent over 2 years coming up with all of these new procedures to keep everybody safe. So we do feel very safe. And something that's still in place at the moment is the pre-testing requirements with most cruise lines. So most, if not all, cruise lines are still requiring for you to test before you get on the ship. This varies from cruise line to cruise line. Some cruise lines provide it for free at the port or even before you board the ship, but lots of cruise lines now are expecting you to pay for your own test. Royal Caribbean, cruise lines like that. So you've got to buy your own antigen test, do it yourself in the days up and coming to your cruise. So 48 hours before, 2 days before, you have to take a test just to prove that you're negative when you get on board. And if you do test positive beforehand or at the cruise port, you'll be denied boarding along with the rest of your party that are with you. So anybody that's booked with you, you'll be turned away, and you'll be booked for free on most cruise lines on a future cruise. But do make sure you do all of the testing because it's important. So one of the big changes that's came to most cruise lines now is the e-muster drill. So before COVID, you had to do a full muster drill in person, and it was quite annoying really. So you do it on your mobile phone or your screen. It's so much better. Lots of things are actually so much better now because of COVID, especially the safety aspects, things like the muster drill.
So much easier. Royal Caribbean and Disney Cruise Line have got this down. Their apps really are set up for this, and they do a fantastic job of that e-muster. So easy, so quick, and it just gets that bit of your cruise over and done with. And I think you actually pay attention a lot more because, particularly Royal Caribbean, you can actually watch the video while you're waiting to board the ship.
And a massive thing that's changed, thankfully for the good, is that most cruise ports you can now get off the ship. Before you had to do it as a part of a shore excursion, but now you can get off and do what you like really. Some cruise ports are still requiring masks depending on where you are in the world, so do check that. But most are with everybody else, and you can do what you want now, which is great. Even kids can get off, the unvaccinated. You don't have to take a shore excursion anymore, which would have been very, very expensive. So this is one of the things we're glad to have seen.
It's so nice to be able to get off a cruise and just explore it yourself. One of the big things, one of the big draws of cruising is to really experience them cruise ports. And you said some things have stuck, some things haven't. Some things are starting to be removed or go away. Social distancing on cruises is been removed mostly across most of the cruise lines. That's nice because it means there's more seating in the bars, and generally you can get into shows and the theatres and things like that much more.
But in our experience, cruises are still not at capacity. Whether or not this may be the cruise lines who are holding down the capacity, so not filling the ships, or people are just not booking. So still now is really a good time to cruise. We haven't seen anywhere at capacity yet, so this might be a while before this comes in. So we do say take advantage of this because the cruise ships are so fantastic when they're quiet. You get all of the bookings you want, you get to do everything you want on board with no queues or lines. It's really lovely.
And another thing that we're hearing is that certain cruise lines are slowly bringing back the self-service buffets.
Yeah, Carnival, Royal Caribbean now, they're back to self-service. This is something we don't agree with. We think it's much cleaner for the crew to be serving you because we don't want all of those grubby hands on tongs, do we?
I don't want a starter of germs, no, but hopefully the passengers are more aware of washing hands and being a lot cleaner as well. So fingers crossed, the buffets still stay nice and clean.
As all of the procedures are getting looser and looser, which is great, we're getting back to normal life now. There has to be a point where we just have to live with COVID now, especially with people who are vaccinating. The latest strains are not really affecting people as much, which is really good. It's good to see that this is starting to get under control. We just heard yesterday that the CDC as well stopped this being a pandemic, so it's now an endemic, so that's really fantastic. So we've stepped down. Lots of Europe and the UK as well, we're becoming much more lenient with not having to self-isolate anymore, not having to test to get into our country. But as with everything, guys, we do recommend you check everything for the countries that you're going to be visiting and all of the different requirements, because still things are a little bit all over the place with requirements coming to different countries. So do keep an eye on that, because there isn't, unfortunately, a holistic approach, is there, where everybody's doing the same thing. The countries all around the world are still doing all different things. And because things are starting to calm down now, you are much less likely to have your cruise cancelled. At the beginning of the pandemic, there was lots of cancellations from ships, especially ships where lots of crew were contracting coronavirus. That's much more unlikely now. Cruisers are just getting on with it and isolating those crew members. So things are getting a lot better now. So the likelihood is that your cruise is going to go ahead and not be cancelled. So that kind of threat is taken away now, because it's super stressful if you can think that the trip's going to get cancelled.
However, there is still a very slim chance that your cruise may be cancelled or changed due to knock-on effects, particularly for new cruise ships. We've just heard that Norwegian has cancelled their first sailings of their brand new ship because of delays at the shipyard.
So we've been getting lots and lots of questions from our lovely viewers, you guys, about vaccinations and things like that. To check what's required for your cruise, every cruise line has a page devoted to this. So just type in, say, Royal Caribbean COVID procedures, and then the port that you're departing from. It'll outline every single thing you need to do, from vaccination requirements, testing requirements, and everything that you're going to need to do before you get on the cruise. Do make sure you follow all of these guidelines really strongly, because if you don't, there may be a chance that you're denied boarding.
Yes, and some things that we really recommend that you do when you board your ship: print everything out. I know you can have everything digitally, but print out all your vaccination statuses and any insurance that you have. Definitely get travel insurance just in case anything goes wrong. We had to use our travel insurance the other week, and we are so happy that we used it. Not COVID related, due to
stuck in New York,
Yeah, we got stuck in New York, and thankfully our travel insurance covered it, and we got all of that money back.
Yeah, the vital words are there. It has to include cruise vacation travel, as well as COVID-19 cover and repatriation as well. So make sure you've got that all as well. We can't really recommend any insurers, but just check that those things are on the policy that you're going to buy there.
Also, some things you need to pack. Still pack that hand sanitizer, still pack them masks just in case any of the places you go to require masks, and also still pack your patience. Things change, so still be flexible just in case there is changes to your itinerary during your cruise, or any changes. I don't know, the world's constantly changing, isn't it, all the time?
But best of all, guys, we have to say that cruising is finally getting back to normal. It really does feel like this is a great time to get back cruising again. Things are so much better. Those horrible restrictions, which we absolutely understand had to be in place at the time to stop this horrible virus from growing, are mostly gone now. So it's really fantastic. You can have a normal experience, a normal cruise, and you can have the best time, because we all deserve it, especially you guys, after a long time of not cruising, and we're just so happy that all around the world it's coming back now.
Yeah, so happy. One thing as well that is absolutely fantastic at the moment are the prices. Now, we said at the beginning when things started to open up, things were getting really expensive, but that's because the initial peak was there and the ships had reduced capacity. But now that things are starting to get back to normal, that initial rush feels like it's disappeared now, and we're seeing some fantastic prices on cruises. Then base fares are quite low and quite reasonable at the moment. Things on board do seem to have got a little bit more expensive. That's where they seem to be making more of their money. But that initial cruise fare is great. We've seen cruises for 7 nights for as little as $500.
Yep, it's great, guys. Now is a good time to cruise. We do highly recommend it. If you were scared of and not wanting to go on vacation with masks and social distancing, now's the time to really start thinking about cruising again. We're just so happy it's back, especially for all of the amazing crew on board as well. So many people lost their jobs around the world, not just in cruise, in all aspects of travel, but things are finally getting back to normal. It's really fantastic to see. Thank you so much for watching this episode. We do hope that it was really helpful to you guys. We just wanted to do something a little bit different, just to show you what's going on right now if you are thinking about cruising, or you haven't cruised so far, or even if you've cruised in the last few months. Things have changed rapidly now, like the masks. Do please hit that subscribe button. It really does help us out.
And a big thank you as well to our patrons. It's because of your support that we're able to bring you free content like this one. If you'd like to become a patron, in return you get extra benefits like our monthly Zoom chat, where we all get together and have a big chat every month, and you get ad-free videos. Click the link in the description section below to find out more.
And next week we're going to be on the amazing Disney fantasy in the Caribbean, so do make sure you keep tuned for that.
We need to go and pack.
We do. That's it till next time.
Happy cruising!